In his debate with brother David Wood, Shabir Ali made 2 attempts to prove that the Quran has several numerological miracles concerning the number 7, which according to Shabir proves that the Quran is from God since no man can insert such mathematical wonders. In this video, however, we will show you in a matter of minutes that Shabir Ali has overlooked a number of things. 4 things to be exact. Which is one of the exact numbers found in Shabir's mathematical miracle. First, it is definitely possible for humans to insert this kind of a multiple into a text. Second, the example given by Shabir is one of those possibilities. Third, the perfect number of 28 which Shabir mentions has been known for literally ages before Muhammad was born. And fourth, a very brief search into the Bible gives us a bunch of multiples of 7 in even more miraculous fashion than the example given by Ali. This is not an argument for the Bible for us, but it should be for Shabir Ali. Shabir Ali states the following.
Yesterday I mentioned a passage of the Quran that mentions the number 7. That's the verse 196 of Surah Al-Baqarah. That 196 turns out to be 7 times 7 times 4. So it's 7 twice. So the chances of that is 1 out of 49.
First of all, let's take a look at the verse. We can see that number 7 is actually a subtotal in this verse. Allah wants to get to the grand total of 10 days of fasting and splits these up in 3 and 7. So yes, the number 7 is mentioned, but it is not at all the crux of the verse. Later on in our biblical examples, we will see instances where the grand total is the miracle number. Now let's assume that 7 times 7 times 4 is something special. I'm sure Shabir would have loved to see that 4 turn into a 7 to make it even more miraculous, making it 7 times 7 times 7. Well, as it turns out, that is what we have found in the Bible, as we will see shortly. But first, let us zoom in on Shabir's statement of the perfect number 28.
Moreover, 7 times 4 is 28, so we can say this is 7 times 28. And what's 28? Mathematicians have the concept of what is called a perfect number. Only 48 such numbers are known to mathematicians so far. 28 is one of them.
So Ali says that 28 is a perfect number according to mathematicians. But this has been known since ancient history. Why has this been known since ancient history? Because 28 is one of the most simple and easy to follow examples of a perfect number. You see, 28 is a perfect number because of this. And we know this perfect number was discovered by mankind at least 5 centuries before Muhammad was born. You see, scholars and apologists have proven many times before that the Quran is filled with plagiarism from the ancient Greeks. And although there is still no reason for me to assume that this numerological example given by Shabir is anything more than a coincidence, it may not be coincidental that we are led once again to the ancient Greeks when examining the history of perfect numbers. A man from ancient Roman Syria called Nicomachus was a famous mathematician who lived between 60 and 120 AD. He was heavily influenced by Aristotle and wrote the text you see on screen, which was translated from his Greek work. As you can clearly see, he already mentions the numbers 6 and 28 as perfect numbers. Is Shabir Ali suggesting that the people at the time of Muhammad's so-called prophethood had not yet come across the perfectness of number 28, even though it was known to mankind for literally hundreds of years? Surely he will not want to present a case in where the first Muslims were completely ignorant of relatively simple mathematical conclusions drawn by the rest of the world centuries prior. Obviously, the Muslims could easily have placed this numerological example in the Quran, especially since the order of the chapters were determined years after Muhammad's death. But in all fairness, I doubt that this was done deliberately. This mathematical example is most likely to be merely a coincidence. And I say this because when I opened my Bible up, I came across these multiples of 7 just about every, let's say, 7 minutes of my search. I will give you just 2 of the several examples I have found. I advise especially the Muslims to sit down before continuing this video. In 1 Chronicles 5, verse 24, we read the following verse. As you can see, this verse gives us exactly 7 names. But why is this significant? Well, chapter 5 of 1 Chronicles is the 343rd chapter of the Bible. And 343 is 7 times 7 times 7. Wow, a perfect score. This completely shatters Shabir Allys' measly 7 times 7 times 4. The 7 times 7 times 7th chapter of the Bible mentions 7 names. Amazing, right, Shabir? The second and final example is even more amazing. At least it should be for Muslims. On screen you see Nehemiah chapter 7, verse 21, which keeps a record of the number of children a certain individual had. Now wait a minute. We have a lot of numbers in this particular place. Let's see how many of them are multiples of 7. Let's see, we have the chapter of Nehemiah, which is 7. Then we have the 21st verse, which is 7 times 3. Then the verse itself speaks of 98 children, which is 7 times 14. And that gives us a new number, 14, which is 7 times 2. Wow, I can see why a lot of people have this as their hobby. It is very exciting stuff. So we have, whoops, wait a minute. These are 4 sevens. And 7 times 4 is 28. Shabir's perfect number. I can't believe it. I think I need a minute. So we have shown everyone that Shabir Allys' example of a so-called mathematical miracle was actually a perfect number long before the days of Muhammad and was bettered by my personal example, which I did not get from any book or website, I assure you, found in just a few minutes of targeted searching. All silliness aside, we did not make this video to mock Shabir Ally or other Muslims, but we do want to warn people against the kind of cheap and self-deluding tricks given by some Muslim apologists. To point at mathematical coincidences in large books that have numbered verses is just a silly trick to make people who rely on the intelligence of others think that there is a miracle from God. We see this many times, and a lot of people fall victim to this kind of falsehood. And this is why Brother David Wood went to Google. Not to be unscholarly, as the demagogic Shabir Ally pointed out to his audience, but merely to show everyone how silly the argument is. And for the record, there were definitely correct examples in the things he took from Google. Why doesn't Shabir attempt to attack the substance of the source instead of the source itself? He thinks the corrupted Gospel of John is correct some of the time, right? The fact is that we can find mathematical so-called miracles in any book. We could find them in every single newspaper ever published if they had numbered lines. In one of our previous videos, we've shown how Muslims wanted to prove the Bible to be more violent than the Quran by typing in specific words such as sword and stoning into a search engine of both books. If the 10 times larger Bible had more hits, this would prove it is more violent. Cheap mind tricks like these are similar to what Shabir Ally tried to do. We hope that by exposing their trickery, we can keep the minds of students of knowledge pure and help them to see where truth and sincerity are to be found. Thank you for watching, and God bless. Wait, guys, don't tell Shabir, but remember Nehemiah 7, verse 21? You know, the verse with the 4 miraculous sevens? It actually has a 5th. Because the Hebrew verse contains 7 words. 5 sevens in one verse. That is a chance of 1 in, wow.